Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. And today I'm combining the dceu daily and the MCU daily. And MCU fans, I'm really sorry I didn't do an episode of the MCU daily yesterday. I did feel really bad about it. So we're going to do something really special today. Today we're going to talk about David F. Sanberg and what he's been saying on Twitter about Captain Marvel. So this involves MCU fans and DCEU fans. So let's see what he's had to say. Now, the Hollywood Reporter have done an article and it says why it's time to stop feeding the trolls. Now, in a minute, I'm going to read that out. But first, I'm going to read to you what David F. Sanberg has said. Now, I wish David didn't get involved with this situation because I don't think he's strong enough of a creative representative kind of popularity-wise or CV-wise. He's a very good writer-director. He's a very talented man. But I think this could give trouble for Shazam's box office if he doesn't quieten down. So let's see what he's had to say. So let's have a look here. If I can straighten out my device. Sorry about that. So let's start. I, for one, look forward to Captain Marvel making all the money in the world to shut some of these people up. Right, let's go down because he said other things as well. So this guy replies to him and says, "It will make money only because it's part of the MCU, not because it's actually a good film. I love how you want it to make money, not because it's good, but to spite men and women who think it's not really up to standards." So David F. Sanberg replies and says, "Have you seen it? How do you know it's not up to standard? I'll never understand rooting for the failure of films." Now let's see if he says something else here as well. Because I swear he did say something else, so let's just keep on looking. I don't think I can find anything right now. I will be here all day. So anyway, I think we should actually just click on the article from the Hollywood Reporter. So we'll do that. We'll click on this article. So first of all, before I read this article, as I've said, I don't think David F. Sanberg should have got involved. Now, he makes a great point. You shouldn't want a movie to fail. You should not want to watch a film. You should steer clear of a film if you don't like it, or maybe you don't like the actor who's in it or the director. That's up to you. But the problem is, of course we want, of course sometimes I sit there a bit envious of the MCU success and sit there going, fail, please fail. I'm a DCEU fan. I'm a Superman fan. We've been trashed by MCU fans so much over the years. It's a natural reaction. Nobody's perfect. And even though he says nobody should want a film to fail, we all know that we want each other's films to fail. MCU fans enjoy the failures of some of the DCEU films, and we criticise the MCU films. Now, as I've said before, my cupboard is full of every single MCU film ever made. I really enjoy them and respect what Kevin Feige has achieved. But there's no question about it. I have a fantasy I dream about where the DCEU is the best franchise and the MCU starts annoying people. But hey, I'm only human. So let's read out what the Hollywood Reporter actually said. Captain Marvel and why it's time to stop feeding the trolls. Fans and the media have provided negative voices a microphone, but they also have the power to cut the cord in a week that saw Brie Larson's film targeted on Rotten Tomatoes and the Shazam director harassed online. Now, the Shazam director, David F. Sanberg, who I love, he should not have been harassed online for what he said in response to there not being another trailer yet for Shazam. That is totally wrong. Now, when you come out and start getting involved in this really divisive subject of Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, you are going to get hassled. Am I saying it's right? No. But you've got to know how to steer clear out of situations. But David F. Sanberg isn't a normal studio creative. He's a guy who's normally kind of gone under the banner. He's made his films. He's done very well with his films. People love his films. He's not been in the public eye. But now he's making a DCEU film. That's very different. And this could affect Shazam's box office, as I've said before. So should we read this? If you were to talk to a certain small but vocal population of, well, I certainly wouldn't call them fans despite their claim to that title, So let's say trolls. You see, again, right, you see they're targeting people who don't like what Brie Larson has been saying about white dudes, right? And I'm going to talk more about this after the article. So they are fans, they are a big aspect of the movie consumer, and they've been triggered by what Brie Larson has been saying. So again, now let's not forget, The Hollywood Reporter is in bed with many, many studios, and hardly is an unbiased voice. We know now that The Hollywood Reporter is the voice for Warner Brothers when they talk about the DCEU. Warner Brothers never announced something on their own. They announced it via The Hollywood Reporter. So we've got to understand that The Hollywood Reporter is an apparatus of Hollywood and studios. So let's say trolls. They have you convinced that there's currently a war being fought on two fronts. The first is the review bombing of Captain Marvel with the negative audience scores from accounts who haven't seen the movie. Right, I'm sure some of them haven't seen the movie, but some of them have actually seen the test screenings, as I have. Anyway. And many of whom won't anyway. This is a result of actress Brie Larson championing increased diversity and inclusion in the interview circuit. Right, what Brie is trying to achieve is right and proper, but the way she's pushing her message is not right, and it's becoming misunderstood. People don't even understand when someone's criticising white dudes, or a white dude asking for her number at a gas station. People don't say, oh yeah, we should have more women in film. We should have more minorities in film. It's not being heard, because all people can hear is that she's, talking against white dudes. That is racist and that is sexist. Let's carry on. The second is the harassment of director David F. Sanberg for a new Shazam trailer. Again, I've said that is wrong, which is obviously coming in the near future for the simple fact that certain audiences think they're owed content on their schedules. It's a swell bunch. Not every player involved in these two internet struggles is engaged on both fronts, but there is some crossover in the realm of trolls. I loathe the idea of giving either group any more of a platform or making them seem like a majority when they are anything but. Well, there's a lot around. Where are we? Anything but. However, I think it's important to recognise that this so-called war that these trolls believe themselves to be engaged in amounts to nothing more than throwing stones at a tank. These trolls will have no effect on the success of either Captain Marvel or Shazam. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yet there's a belief that they matter because the confluence of blogs, film sites and social media have created narratives of negativity where there should be none. On Wednesday, Sanberg responded to demands for a trailer update by tweeting, I just don't have any specific trailer updates that I can share with you at this point. All I can do is have fun with it or say nothing. Most of the time I do the latter. But like you say, the movie is almost here and it's not like the marketing is going to slow down now. Shazam, which hits theatres April the 5th, released its first trailer online July the 21st, 2018, during San Diego Comic-Con. Its trailer that is still playing in theatres and playing well with audiences based on my own experiences. New Line, the producers of the film, have certainly proven they know how to market a movie with the films of the Conjuring universe, correct? And 2017 have each been applauded for their marketing efforts with box office success stories. It's also worth noting that Shazam has a reported budget of between 80 to 90 million, far less than a typical superhero extravaganza of the 150 million to 200 million, and thus has less need to overload audiences with marketing in an effort to be considered a success. Very true. Sanberg, who has been delightfully open about his filming experience and friendly with fans online, obviously shouldn't have to suffer trolls who think they know more about what a movie needs than he or a studio does. But where does this indignation and feeling of ownership that gives way to trolls come from? Now, this is a great point, and I spoke about this on the DCEU Daily the other day. In the film journalism community, where superhero films get the most ink and the most clicks, it's unsurprising that many film blogs and websites will will mine any piece of information they can get their hands on or make a story out of trailers and all of the articles, and they create boost traffic. So if there are no trailers for many of these sites to write about, then they'll use that time to write about the lack of a trailer, to question why one hasn't been released. In other words, they take ownership over something that isn't theirs. This is then spun into suggestion that the film is in trouble or that the studio is hiding a project it doesn't have confidence in, which social media latches onto. It's nonsense, yet we continue to click on the nonsense that suggests reshoots mean trouble. Now, I don't click on these articles, by the way. Trouble shifting release dates will doom a film. A film needs to make $1 billion to be considered a success. Or that an actress hates white journalists simply because she's interested in using her platform to champion other voices. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting. She has come out, Hollywood Reporter, and said some troubling things about white dudes. So it's the way she's spreading her message. Her message is good. Her message is good. She's just publishing that message with the wrong tone and the wrong words. And someone at Disney has to talk to her. You know, keep on doing it, Brie, but do it in a positive way. Right. Aquaman director James Wan let his support to fellow DC director Sanberg on Twitter by saying, when Aquaman trailer was held back till Comic-Con, people freaked out. When the movie was pushed from October to December, people laughed. Oh, it's in trouble. DC doesn't know what it's doing, yada yada. When Mary Poppins Returns dropped on our week, Aquaman is getting slaughtered, and so on and so on. Aquaman, of course, went on to make over $1 billion worldwide and counting, despite the negative spin that many sites and social media accounts placed on it in the months and delays leading to its release. Captain Marvel doesn't have negative buzz surrounding its marketing decisions, but misleading headlines about Larson's interest in creating a platform for women and people of colour have brought misogynists and racists all around unpleasant people into conversation. I'll talk about that in a minute. That they should have no part of. These trolls are responsible for their own hatred, but the idea that they can channel that hatred through review bombing is one born of social media accounts and film blogs' reliance on reporting Rotten Tomatoes scores, audience ratings as an ultimate testament to quality. Rather than a review aggregator, a landscape has been created where trolls think that review bombing on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb will have some effect on the box office when it's unclear that's really ever happened. I'm not talking about people who genuinely didn't like a movie, but those who create false narratives and employ sexism, racism and harassment as a form of criticism, which it most decidedly isn't. Trolls employed this same tactic with Star Wars The Last Jedi. Here we go. And the film still went on to be top-grossing movie. Basically, right, Hollywood Reporter is the voice of the studios. And in a minute, I'm going to talk to you about this. So basically, yeah, The Last Jedi made over $1 billion worldwide, and regardless of what the social media accounts are currently seething their way through, this paragraph will want folks to believe Star Wars is alive and well. Far more people respond positively to Rey, Rose and Finn than don't. Yes, it did make significantly less than The Force Awakens. Yes, it did. More than $2 billion, but it's hard to believe that's because of trolls. If Captain Marvel is good, then there's little doubt that people respond to just as positively to Carol Danvers. There's another side to this case as well, which is small circles of film critics performing their own form of review bombing on social media by attempting to create a narrative that a film they didn't like is maligned across the board by dissent. People and its only fans are racist and misogynists, or those incapable of thought. The review itself isn't enough of a statement. So there's this odd and disingenuous act of trying to convince a population that liking or disliking the movie provides a kind of moral high ground. Alita Battle Angel suffered such slings and arrows last week, despite the fact that it overperformed against initial expectations. Very true. And that audiences in general, from the variety of backgrounds, responded positively to it. Yes, it's a very good film. What's the difference between those that would think a film is for neo-Nazis and those who would have you think it's for SJWs? While on a different side of a political spectrum, there isn't much. They're both employing tactics that attempt to create the notion that films are meant for one group of people or fans and to control the narrative of said film. There's an odd confluence of trolling from the lowest to the highest ends, with accounts both anonymous and verified contributing to this troubling sentiment that negative narratives are the most powerful means to engage with a film, its filmmakers and fandom. Every fandom has its share of trolls, but it's key that we recognise our role in that system and how our need for validation through clicks, retweets, trailers, releases and Rotten Tomato scores earned from damaging and dishonest content breaks the old internet adage, don't feed the trolls. Trolls haven't gone anywhere and they won't, but they are evolving because of the emphasis we as a film culture place on negativity and ownership. We've provided a microphone, but we can cut the cord. Let them scream into the void. It may cause a bit of static, but they can ultimately be drowned out by those who find the clarity of honest and genuine engagement on another channel. Right, that's very interesting. That, my friends, is a very good article. Mostly. And I've said it before, Brie Larson wants to spread a good message. She does. But she's just not spreading her message in a very good way. And this is the problem. And because of this, and because of what she says about white dudes, it's triggered white dudes. You know, what do you expect? I still think Captain Marvel's a good film. Look, Brie Larson is a very intelligent young woman and a very talented young woman. I don't hate her, but I do hate the way she spreads her message. And she's really created a mess now. She's actually had to come out now and say that she doesn't have anything against men or white dudes, but she wants more seats at the table for, you know, minorities and women. And that's good. That's great. But Brie, why did you have to be instructed by Disney to say this? Why didn't you spread your message in the right way to begin with? I think most females could have played Captain Marvel. I don't think they needed to get her, but they got her for a reason, because of the message she wanted to spread. Now that's interesting, and this puts Disney in a bit of trouble. Now this article also mentioned The Last Jedi. There's no question, The Last Jedi was targeted by the far right, by racists and misogynists, but also people like me found The Last Jedi underwhelming. And this is how this, if you want to call them trolls, are winning, because Disney and Hollywood are helping them win by they're spreading a good message within their films, but they're doing it in the wrong way. They're allowing creativity and entertainment to suffer to spread their message. And this gives these, you see, the most successful YouTube channels at the moment seem to be the negative ones, spreading a negative message, because Hollywood are helping, because Hollywood are trying to spread a good message, even though I think Hollywood is full of criminals and I don't trust anyone in Hollywood. I enjoy their content. I feed the goat, but I don't particularly think there's very good people working within that community. I don't. There's some nice ones there, like in life. And so if Brie Larson had been spreading her message in the positive way that Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot were in the build-up to Wonder Woman, there wouldn't have been a problem. They were spreading, of course they were talking about equality. There's nothing wrong with that. But they weren't saying, hey, white dudes, you know. So this is the problem. And that's never going to happen with Warner Brothers. That's never going to happen with the DCEU. So this is the difference now. So now there is a civil war. But what they said about David F. Sandberg is spot on. He didn't deserve to be attacked because of a lack of a second trailer. The marketing has been very good. The budget is a lot lower. It doesn't need to make the kind of money that maybe Captain Marvel needs to make. But at the end of the day, people do seem to think that they have ownership over movies and movie directors and the way movies are made. They do seem to think that they know about CGI, good CGI and bad CGI. They do seem to think they know about a colour palette in a film, even though they've never been to bloody film school. I understand what the Hollywood Reporter is saying. A lot of what they said in this article was very good. But the truth of the matter is, Disney are starting to spread a good message in a bad way. And until Hollywood understand how to spread the message of inclusion and diversity properly, these civil wars within these fandoms will carry on. And these trolls, as the Hollywood Reporter call them, will carry on getting bigger and bigger until Hollywood actually gets some brains.